I was born here, in Janesville, Wisconsin, to two parents of very different backgrounds. When I was 4, we moved from our little trailer park in South Beloit, Illinois, to a little farmhouse in Pátzcuaro, Michoacán, Mexico. There, I was submerged into a culture that is vastly different than the one I live in now. In Mexico, there were food carts, vendors that walked all around the streets, music all over the place, little to no cars driving anywhere, huge families crammed into small spaces, and close-knit neighborhoods. Throughout our time in Mexico, we shared a house with 18 people. Some people would come and go, others would stay for long periods of time. Either way, everything we had was shared, and we didn't ask for extra. The house was made of wood and had dirt floors. The rooms were tiny and very dark since there was no electricity. Our bathrooms were only recently put in, and windows were very limited. Everyone stayed outside all day. We cooked outside, we worked outside, we hung out and played outside. We were always together, the whole family, all the time. We went on trips into the town, we walked the squares, we went to the markets, and we had fun out in the fields. I loved it there because I was surrounded by people who loved me and wanted to be around me. They understood me and where I came from. We were such a close-knit community of people living and loving together. Our move back to the States was sudden. I remember being caught off guard by the information of our move and was so confused. I had called that little farmhouse home for some time and did not want to leave what I was used to. I didn't realize how hard it would be to transition back into the culture of the United States. Upon our return, we got word that we got approved for a new house. This house was in such a nice neighborhood, and we were going to be closer to the school that my mom wanted me to attend. This neighborhood, though, was not a neighborhood at all. The neighbors didn't share things. They didn't talk. They lived far from each other. And they all had a ton of stuff. It was definitely not something I was used to. When I started school in the fall, I was thrown for another loop. At this school, people had brand name things, dressed like people from the movies I watched with my dad on TV, threw away extra food that they had in their lunches because they just didn't want it anymore. And they were very opposed to being in close proximity of each other. The kids all had big houses with pools and trampolines and a lot of toys. They thought I was weird for being so surprised at the amount of stuff that they had, and I always felt like they were judging me. I remember constantly asking my mom, why couldn't I have a ton of toys like the other kids? Why we shopped at garage sales and they shopped at the mall? Why we didn't go on cruises like the other families? We were always tight on money and couldn't afford the things the other kids could. I missed out on field trips, sleepovers, birthday parties, and trips that my friends invited me on with their families. I never asked anyone to come over because I was ashamed. I didn't want them to see how different we were. Eventually, kids stopped asking me to join in on the things that they were doing. They didn't bother inviting me because they assumed that I couldn't come anyway. They thought it was weird that we let people stay with us, our friends, our family, people from church. They also thought it was weird because my dad couldn't speak English very well. They made jokes about my Mexican heritage, about the music I listened to, about the shows I watched. They would say things about sending me back to Mexico. I knew that both of my cultures were confusing to people, so I eventually started choosing one over the other, depending on which situation I was in. When I was at home or with my family, I was Mexican. When I was at school, or with friends, or even out in public, I was white. I chose very carefully because I didn't want people to make fun of me anymore, and I wanted to be normal and blend in with the crowd. I still find it hard to navigate through the cultural differences. I find myself spending money on pointless things just to fit in, and doing things that I don't want to do just to be a part of the crowd. I still don't allow many people to see where I come from, and I do hide parts of my culture from those that I feel will judge me. It is really hard to live in two different worlds, but I hope to one day not be ashamed of where I come from anymore.